Welcome to Connected Through Christ, a podcast where faith meets real life. Your host, Jeremy Johnson.
All right, counting down 3, 2, and 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Connecting Through Christ. Today, I'm super excited. Have a special guest, Mr. Alex Reyes. So, Alex is going to have an interesting story today. I met him, kind of looked through Facebook, saw his post. The dude's doing some amazing stuff with martial arts, point fighting, the old board breaking, all this stuff. But there's some other unique things that he's bringing on board that hopefully we get to talk and chat about later. But without further ado, Mr. Alex Reyes, glad to have you on the shows.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here, and you're doing some great big things. It's great to be on, man. Thank you for real. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, my brother. So why don't you go ahead, Alex, and just tell our audience a little bit about yourself, maybe how'd you grow up, where'd you grow up, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I'm from, born and raised here in Miami, Florida, and and I've lived here all my life. My parents are Cubans, and I'm Cuban descent. They came over, when they were young from Cuba over here. And they just they came over here for a better life because of how it is in Cuba, and they both came young as well. They were both, one was 7 and one was like 10, and
Wow.
and then they raised me out here, so I'm all 100% American, but yeah. So, and then all my life was pretty much has been martial arts, you know what I'm saying, and just and yeah, and then just that's it. It's just, I teach karate, and I have a Facebook page, and then and I'm 48 years old now, and just it's it's crazy how the journey is, right, to get to where you're at now, to where I am now. And I'm just so thankful to God to be where I'm at, where I am right now. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm from, and and what I do. I'm a martial artist, and yeah. What was the second part of the question that you asked?
Well, let me just ask you this. You
Yeah.
you you mentioned about the journey, and I think a lot of
Yes.
people, especially our audience, me coming from a point fighter background in the beginning in the 80s, and the people that
Yeah.
know me know I went from point fighting to kickboxing and transitioned over to MMA. Well,
Yeah.
back then it was no holds barred. But anyway, martial arts is part of that is the journey, right?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
about just the arts and learning self-defense or even competing for belts and competing for money, but it's about the journey, the people you meet along the way, everything.
It is a journey. And, for me, it's a new journey that for me now, it's crazy how the journey never ends, right? And it reignites like how life is like with martial arts, because I was a fighter. I retired from point fighting, right? I think it was what, 2000 and 2009, right? That was my last event. And I did it because I was coaching a team, and I was just focusing more on coaching than myself. And that's when I realized, I was like, okay, my passion is more for that. But then, you know, I feel like then I started to, covering events, and I've been kind of like a sports center for sport karate, right? For open sport martial arts tournaments. But then, you know, I then started, I got into seeing breaking, right? Martial arts breaking,
Right.
and I started filming it, right? It's crazy how life works, right? And I started filming it, and then I started seeing that I liked it, and then I said, let me start doing it. And also, of course, I'm in social media. It gets me views. Out of all the stuff that I was recording, it was getting me views. But it's crazy how now that I look back, right, how it was just, it was meant for me to be in my journey, right? Because then breaking, then I started falling in love with it for real, right? Not just for entertainment and for
Right.
views. And like, then it reignited me. I came back and I started actually competing. And like, it's got me, I'm 48 years old, and I feel the same passion, and I wake up in the morning wanting to train to get better, like that I felt when I was younger, that I lost that spark, right? But it gets so much deeper than that, because I feel like that my journey is like now, then I started getting more popular, right? Before I
Right.
was behind the scenes as like a filming, podcasting, kind of like what you do,
Right.
right? And like just filming and just taking pictures and covering events. But then I injected myself into the page, and you know, and when I did that, like, and it became kind of like about me as well, right? And I still
Right.
do all that, but I feel like that was all done for a reason, which is where I am now, right? And I feel like that God specifically put breaking and me competing again, you know, to get, I think, to use me to get the
Yeah.
word out, and also
Right.
and also to finally fit, really, I'm gonna get a little deep here, really become the person that I was meant to be. Like, now is when I'm really shining and feeling the most comfortable in my skin, uh, because of breaking and because of all the stuff that's going on with it. And I feel like that God put me here in this road, and it's just, I mean, it's just the beginning as well. I feel like
Yeah.
I can't wait to see where it goes, from where I've been to where I am now, so it's
I
crazy.
think that's awesome. One thing I want to say for sure, I remember looking at your post and seeing breaking, and really it was a reminisce. I was reminiscing, right, from when I used to break and Dakatas and the point fighting. And part of me does miss that, even though I'd get DQ'd for excessive force, like I
Yeah,
just told you in my last two events. But anyway, I did miss it, and it doesn't matter cage fighting, kickboxing, point fighting. Martial arts has its place for
yeah,
everyone, for
yeah,
everyone. And I had seen you post something about God, and it really caught me because
yeah,
I feel like on my own journey, I mean, fighting aside, I had did forensic autopsies forever, and dealing with dead people every day, it makes you think about life, and it
yeah,
changes perspective on a lot. And I think that helped draw me closer to God and put me on a different direction and a different path where ultimately I feel like God brought me to where I am today, trying to help others and trying to get the message out. And when I saw your post, you have such a platform that I
yeah,
feel like God really can
yeah,
use you for
yeah,
that message.
yeah. No, for sure. I feel like I have to, it's just, I feel like it's a calling. And I feel also that, the world needs more people, because we've been living in as modern, things get more modern, kind of like, you know, talking about that. Like, look, and it's not good. So, like, you're always taught, right? Don't talk about religion. Don't talk about politics,
Right,
right? It's
right.
like, if you want to succeed. So, you know, but I feel like it's a calling, and I don't care about that stuff.
That's
You know what
right.
I'm saying? I
That's
feel like,
awesome.
and I did lose business. I did lose tournaments at the beginning when
Really?
I started doing that stuff,
Wow.
talking about God, and like, and being myself with the breaking and all that. And like, I did lose, uh, I had over 150 tournaments that I would promote.
Really?
And then it went down to about 100. But
Wow.
then, that was at the beginning. But
Yeah.
then I didn't worry. I was like, okay, I know God's got me, and it doesn't matter. It didn't affect me that much, because 100 tournaments still a lot. But then now coming into this year, I, I'm having like, I may have 200. You know what I'm saying?
Praise
Events that I'm
God.
covering. So, so sometimes, yes, exactly. Sometimes, you know, it's having that relationship with God, like, that I really feel like I have now. And then it's just like, it's something that it's hard to explain, but you could almost feel him, and you could
Oh,
feel him, and you
absolutely.
could hear him. He talks to you, not where he's verbally, where you can hear him, but where you see it, right? You
Absolutely.
see things, and just ideas come up. And like, that's one of the things that has happened to me. And I think that it's almost like a guide, because and I'm new into this, you know what I mean? I'm still learning a lot. Like, my parents they're really religious, they're Catholic, and they're really, really religious. I mean, my parents go to Bosnia, and they go and they go into the monasteries and pray, like, go out there for weeks, for like, I'm saying, like 2 or 3 times a year, so it's like, but I never really was that into that, like that. You know what I'm saying? But for me, it was like, for me, it was like, for me, it came from, that was like, I needed it. I was in a low point, in my life, right? And I had a great childhood. My adults issues, coming into adult, I had a lot of stuff that comes up, and then, there's always these things that everybody has issues, right? That affects
Absolutely.
them. And I had like I would suffer through depression and, which I still do a little bit, right? There's mental health aspects, but it's cut down so much. But for me, the part where I really was like, boom, like over a year ago, last October, that I said, okay, that's it, I'm going all in, was where I was in a bad state of mind, right? I was not in a good state of mind. And like, I felt like the evilness, not with me, just the evil. I felt negativity, all this stuff around me, to the point where I was just like, I got scared. And I'm like, you know what? It scared me because I didn't know what could happen. You know what I'm saying? Like it got pretty dark. And then I just started to pray and, little by little, listen to music
Yes.
from God,
Yes.
holy music. And
Yes.
then start listening to Stephen Furtick,
Okay.
which is a great pastor. He has these little things, and I relate to a lot of stuff with him because it was like it's modern stuff, right? And he's a great motivational speaker with mixing with, well, of course, he's a pastor, talks about religion, and that I just started listening to it more every day, and then it just slowly but surely I started becoming, who I am now, because I was totally different, man.
Yes.
I've always been a hard worker. I've always been, even positive. I've always been, but things have always, for me, right? I've had to work so hard for everything that I have. And like, I failed so much in my life, and everything has been, struggles to have every single thing that I have, right? And like that, it's hard. But ever since I got injected with this, I feel like with this relationship with God, it's just like I feel like nothing could stop me. Like I have so much trust in the process, and no matter what happens, right? That's what gave me. And I had anxiety, And I'm not saying that I still don't get I still have that stuff that comes. But this year, let's say I've been depressed one time as opposed to eight or nine times the course of the year. But I feel like the biggest thing that helps me with our relationship with God is no matter what happens, everything's gonna be okay. That's it,
Amen.
right? No matter what happens, it doesn't matter, right?
Because he's
That's
in
it. He
control.
died for us. He died for us, right? It doesn't matter. I'm not even scared to die. Like that's how much I know. And part of that takes away your anxiety when you think
Yes.
like that. That it takes away your anxiety, it takes away so much things, and it just feel good. So
Yes.
so yeah, man. Yeah, I know that's a
That,
lot. I was
no,
talking a
no,
lot there for a while, but
that's awesome
that's
because and just to touch on a couple of your points, like first off, key word that caught me was relationship, and it's true. Like, I guess people have a hard time like understanding God really does want a relationship with us. And
yes,
in order to have that relationship, like when I first met my wife, for example, when we first started to date, I had to learn about her. So to learn about her, I spent time with her. I got
yes,
to learn what she likes for me to do and what she doesn't like for me to do. And with God, I think it's the same way. And like the how do we get to know him is by like praying, spending
yeah,
time with him, reading the Bible. And
yes,
the more I did that, Alex, it's like it changed. It changed me. I felt the change. It's like I no longer listened to the same music. I was no longer doing the old thing. I was a new person, a changed person, and that was key. And now I'm just trying to get closer, and obedience to me is the key. And I mean now I'm also in Bible college, in seminary, and
yeah, wow.
I just want to help people and just like you send the message out, man. And I don't think it's any coincidence that you and I are both
No,
right here right
no,
now.
man. No, man. And let me tell you something. One thing that's a miracle as well. Like, for me with that, and it's crazy, but I never was a heavy drinker. I would drink once a week, but for years. So like that to me is not. I mean, maybe people are just like, oh, that's okay. But for me, I kind of was like, it got to the point where I didn't want to do it anymore, but I needed it. Like it was almost like, so that it is a little bit of an addiction, even if you can't be in denial. You do it once a week, but you can't stop
Right.
once a week. That's in it. So, I remember praying about it so much, and like, oh, something just fell out in the kitchen. My cats are in the kitchen. They just knocked something down, but they just knocked over a plate. But yeah, my wife is coming down to get that. But yeah, so so for me, I started praying, and like I don't want to do this no more. And I don't know, it's almost like a switch.
Yes.
Like, I haven't drank in so long, man, and I do not miss it. And it's crazy. Like, it's crazy how that relationship, and like you said, you got to work at it.
Yes.
You can't be one of these people that are like, oh, if this happens, I'm gonna be go to church every
Yeah.
day, every week. You
You have
can't.
to
It's not
invest.
like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think another thing too is like, even with what you're saying, what you're drinking, just because you start to have a relationship with God doesn't necessarily mean problems go
no,
away, right?
yeah, yeah,
Even the
exactly.
disciples were in the boat that day and went through a storm, right?
Yes,
And that lets us know, look, we're going to go through storms. But if you remember, the storms brought fear to the disciples as well. And then
yes,
they called on Jesus, and then Jesus
yeah,
calmed the waves. And the
yeah,
key I got out of that for me personally was like, we're going to go through storms. Life isn't going to be perfect after this. But as long as we focus on Him, he will get us through the
yes,
storm, and I think that's an awesome
yeah,
story, just in a short version, obviously. But um,
yeah,
and the more I learn, the more I apply it to my life. At
yeah,
one time, I felt like I just read the Bible to try and learn more about Him, but I wasn't applying it to my life. And if
hmm,
people who could quote scripture or put prayers online but don't live the walk,
yes,
you got to
yes.
talk it, you got to walk it, man.
Yeah, man, it's true. I love applying things, and I love when I see things that I read and it happens, right? Like, it's just like, and yeah, it has to happen, right? It has to have, it has
Right.
to, you have to go through it, and that's how you see it sometimes, right? That's how you see those stories in the Bible that
Yes.
kind of happen to you, like, in a way, those lessons, and you're like, oh man, that's like this here, it's the
Yes.
same thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
I'm
true.
I'm
It's true.
excited, man, to see, especially, and I know we had just kind of met and everything, but I'm excited to see, man, you have such a platform, such an audience. God can use you, man, in a mighty way. Believe
Oh
that.
yeah, man, for
Believe
sure.
that.
Oh yeah, and I'm just getting started. That I'm painting my face. When I paint my face, I do the ultimate
I saw that.
warrior, but with the
Yes.
cross. So it's like
Yeah.
the holy warrior.
Pretty awesome, man.
So that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that I'm out there. And every time I do demo, I'm always I preach. I'm not. I'm kind of spread the word.
Yeah.
Before I jump off the ladder, I like to say God is good all the time. And all the
Yes.
time God is good. Then I jump from the ladder and break the ladder, and I feel like that's good. See, so it's kind of like, I feel like what I'm doing is showing people too that it's cool. It's
Right.
okay. To be
Yes.
like that.
No, it's true.
Yeah,
It's awesome because, again, we have a small ministry that we do. It's called, again, with the podcast, Connecting Through Christ. In fact, it's this is our little logo and stuff right here. But anyway, we had a guy, a good friend of mine, 3 weeks ago for his cage fight. He made his pro debut. And so
yeah,
we have Connecting Through Christ gear and the powerful and all that on it. And he walked out with our gear on. He won
beautiful.
his pro debut, and he got on the microphone after and he
Yeah,
gave God, thanks. And man, it was just awesome to see that some kid so young, you know, had an audience captivated by his fight and then, delivered a message about God after. And
yeah,
that,
man.
that to me was awesome.
Yeah, and I bet you the crowd went wild too, right? When
It
he
did.
said
It
that.
really did.
Yeah,
He had worship music that he walked
yeah,
out to. And at first it was like quiet, but then man, you started hearing the people applauding, and it's
yeah,
I think it's a bold and it's
yeah.
awesome. It's awesome.
It's like a shock to people. Yeah,
Yes.
that's probably what happened. And then when they realize, oh, okay, all right, yeah, then they get
Yeah,
behind it.
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, for
Yep.
sure.
So I want to shift gears with you for just a
Yeah,
little bit. And I know we talked a little bit earlier about, the martial arts as a whole, and we're both brothers in martial arts. We both love the arts.
yeah,
We both grew up in the 80s, the
yeah,
Karate Kid, and then Van
yeah,
Damme in the 90s, and it's crazy to see how it's evolved, right?
yeah, yeah.
And
It's crazy.
what was it that you started as far as back in the 80s as a kid, what was it that you were learning mostly back then?
Yeah, my dad is a student of first generation black belt of Ed Parker.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was so he so Kempo karate has been my base system, you know what I mean? So that that's my dad's had a school since 1972 in Hialeah, and he just actually sold it at
Really?
70. He's 73 years old, but he's still going to teach it, right? He's still going
Okay.
to teach and stuff there.
Wow.
But he just, yeah, since 1972 it's been open. And he's Kempo karate, man. That's my base. But then my brother, you know, so that's where the point fighting and all that stuff. My dad was always big into the point fighting,
Okay.
and that world would promote tournaments. So that's
Yeah.
basically how I got into that. But then I also have a background in, my brother, he started getting into full contact. He was a world champion point fighter. He's
Is that
4 years
Manny?
older than me. Yeah, my brother Manny. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he
I've
got
seen
into
that.
MMA, and he fought in the WCL,
Didn't he fight
and
King of the Cage?
he fought in King of the Cage.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
No, and he fought two UFC fighters, Mike Brown, and he fought
Yeah.
Hermes Franca, but not in the UFC. But
Yeah.
he got into MMA late, but with me, like me and him, I would train in everything he would do. So if he had jujitsu, I would go and do jujitsu. Oh, you saw my cat. Yeah, it's like my
Yeah.
son over here. Yeah, he's the one that just knocked over the plate and broke it over there. Yeah,
He's
I
a
don't know if
good
you
cat.
guys heard it, but yeah, Zeus over here. He's like my son over here. But
Uh-huh.
it's crazy how God brought this guy into my life too. It's crazy, like my son there. But so then I did everything: Muay Thai, kickboxing,
Awesome.
jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and then that carried over into I teach some of that stuff now too, So
Okay.
yeah, I teach a lot of I like the whole mixture of everything,
Yes.
with martial arts. I like to teach my kids, like they learn their stuff to get their belts, Campo karate, but
Yeah.
then I want them to know how to, defend against somebody shooting at them and do sprawls and like
Yes.
going into guard, just so that they know and get some basic locks and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Just so that it's really good, so that they're not like something happens and they're like, "What is this?" Like at least they
Yeah.
have something, know what's coming to them. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, and I just love all martial arts. I
Me
just
too,
love it
man.
all. Yeah,
I agree. I think, people look at MMA today and that's like this, like I said, it's its own thing. But it's kind of like martial arts. When you look at MMA, people learn MMA that don't really know martial arts, don't know that it might be a combination of jujitsu and freestyle
yeah,
wrestling and Thai boxing. They look at MMA as an art itself, and it's really not.
yeah. It is. You see him? He's
And
like, "Hey,
yeah,
Paige, you
but
see?" I'm
that's
telling you, he
funny.
wants some attention.
But
He's so smart.
But MMA, it's not just about fighting. There's so much more to martial arts, and I just don't want people to forget that martial arts is not just about competitive fighting. It's
Yeah,
about self-defense. It's about learning your timing. It's about self-respect. It's about, you know, not only learning how to defend yourself or fight for competitions or belts or money, but it's more than that. It's the journey, like we spoke about
yeah,
earlier, the people that you become close to along the way, and all
yeah.
the different skill sets that come with it, and respect, and you get in shape, and all these other elements to it. It's so
Oh
much.
man,
It's not just fighting, and
no,
it
yeah.
seems like a lot of people today kind of forget all those other aspects.
Yeah, man. It's because I guess with MMA, it's like it's gotten so mainstream that has casual fans, and casual fans, they just don't understand that, right?
No,
The martial arts
no,
side. They just are like, knock this guy out. But they can know everything. They can know every fighter, their stats, but
right.
they're not martial artists. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So they're
that's
like,
right.
so they'll just be like, karate or,
Yeah,
or this, that, taekwondo, whatever.
yeah.
It's like they look down on it. But I think it's changing a little bit, the
It is.
culture with with people like Michael Page and
Yes,
Wonder Boy Thompson
yes,
winning in different ways. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I think
It's
it's
true.
cool. And I think Joe Rogan even has talked about point fighters before. They're
He
like,
has.
they're right about how, imagine if the point fighting stuff like could get injected more into the MMA, like how it could evolve even more. All it takes is somebody to do, like, let's say, an axe kick, like axe side, right?
Hmm.
And like pump their leg a little bit like
Yeah.
a point fighter and then knock somebody out with it. And then
Yes.
everybody's gonna want to learn how to do that, right? So
Yes.
you know what I mean?
It's true.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
But I think like Stephen Thompson, Wonder Boy, and Michael Venom Page, those guys who have had training in
yeah,
point fighting and the karate traditional arts, you can see that they cross that over into
yeah,
MMA. And it works
yeah,
well for them because
yeah,
some opponents don't know how to deal with that because they've never trained for it.
yeah, yeah,
So it
yeah,
works
yeah,
good. And the whole casual fan, oh man, I tell you, it gets to me every time,
yeah.
we cage side and then you hear a fan behind us like, do this. And it's like, stop. They don't understand. You can't they don't, as a casual fan, they don't understand the intricacies, the details of the moves, even the weight cutting before the fight, the after effects after the fight, the surgeries.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes into it.
It's become, I mean, it's because of all that. It's crazy. It's like, man, that's why I think it's gotten so popular because it's like, I think it's because even though some of the casual fans don't see it, just, it's like so skill. It's so much skill, right?
It
To
is.
be on the top of in MMA, the
It is.
skills that you have to acquire. And just like, man, it's like, anybody that gets in that in MMA and does succeeds in it, it's like, man, they're special for real. It's like because
Absolutely.
you've mastered so many arts, right?
Yeah,
It's crazy.
because like for us, we were doing karate in the 80s.
Yeah,
We were kind of a unique one style, but then
yeah,
transitioning over like I did to kickboxing in the 90s, and then all of a sudden mixed martial arts come, you have to know the ground, you have to know a little wrestling, a little jujitsu, and now you have kids 18, 20 years ago that were brought up learning those arts. And now
hmm
they're like some assassins in the cage, man.
man, yeah,
Their skill set, and it's as a martial artist, between the two of us, I respect seeing them make that walk because
yeah,
not everybody can do it.
yeah,
And, I hate hearing fans boo and all this other stuff and the negative comments because they just don't realize how
yeah,
much these kids put into stepping into that cage or the ring or anything else.
yeah, man. It's true. It's true. But you know what? You know, like Kobe said, right? Nobody talks about the good, right? They hate, right? If you're great, right? The
Yeah,
greats are hated on. So
yeah,
it's like MMA's become so big that it has so much viewership that it's gonna get everything.
yeah.
You can't win 100% with everything. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
Tom Brady. No. If you talk about Tom Brady, some people will be like, "Oh, the negative stuff about
Right.
Spygate." You know what I'm saying? Little
Yes.
like somebody
Yes.
wins a Super Bowl, and then in the comment section they'll be talking about about something negative, like, "Oh, the
Yeah.
ref missed it." So it's just like there's always gonna be negative things in the equation. You know what I'm saying? Usually, if it's only 100% good, is because it didn't blow up all over where the whole world could see.
Yeah.
And MMA's done that.
Yeah.
So at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's huge.
Absolutely. If you can, I mean, I don't know what you can and can't, but I'd like for you to maybe talk about what is it that you are kind of looking at doing
Oh
here
yeah,
with your
that's
point
right.
fighting,
Yeah,
here in the future here.
yeah,
What you
man.
got
So
going on?
man, yeah, that's a good question. We were talking about it a little bit here, and yeah, so imagine mixing all that together, right? Imagine mixing karate, like tournament, open sport martial arts, and with MMA, and they're like, how do you do that? So, next week, December 20th, in South Carolina. Oh, look, my other cat now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So December 20th, in South Carolina, Hub City Martial Arts. They're doing it's called the Showdown. They're doing an event. It's in a cage. They're doing karate fighting, right? They're doing grappling matches, kickboxing matches. So it's kind of like MMA, but its own
Mm.
separate disciplines in each, and in a cage. So me myself and like four other breakers, we're gonna be doing demonstrations in between the
Okay.
fights. So it's kind of like we're bringing in, and then from that footage, I'm talking to other fight leagues that are kind of bigger promotions that are on TV and stuff,
Yeah.
and like which I can't mention it just yet, but
Right.
but I want to show that footage to them to give them a sample, and then I think that could be something that in 2026 everybody could be seeing more of. That's kind of a goal I have, to mix it in there where there's breaking demos with MMA, right, or kickboxing
Yeah.
fights, right, and then even you not even just stop it there. Maybe some forms demonstrations. There's some great, I think that all that could be into making a great show, and that's
Absolutely.
where it could be more of like martial arts, right, and
Yes.
not just a sport. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Imagine, that's a vision I kind of have. So if I could do this on a smaller scale and then maybe on a bigger scale, then you never know what happens if somebody like Dana White sees it and they're like, all right, these guys are fighting
That's
behind the scenes.
exactly what I was like, dude, they got fighting going on right behind you.
Whoa.
It's perfect.
They're all so hyped up. They're seeing me out here. I'm usually not out here at this time, but yeah, you see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, imagine Dana White seeing something like what we're doing, or other
Yes.
promoters,
Yeah.
and then they'll be like, "Hey, that's a good idea. Let's get some karate people to
Yeah.
come in and do on our shows, and right, and do some breaking or some forms demos, and right." Little
Yes.
by little, that's that, and then that will get the whole world together of martial arts at
Yes.
the end of the day,
That's
right? That will be a true mixed martial arts event,
yeah.
100%,
That's
right?
awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
And even like I watched Karate Combat this past weekend.
yeah,
Sam Alvey, they call him Smiley Sam. Like he fought. I know he lost his belt, but he fought. Karate Combat is blowing up as well.
yeah, yeah.
And it's pretty interesting to watch. But what about? I know we've talked about you coming to Louisiana. So
Yes.
what's going on in
Yes.
Louisiana? Can you tell us a little bit about that, date, times,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah. So February 7th, it's an event I cover. The promoter is Pee Wee Blanco, and it's called the Louisiana Pro Am Mardi Gras Championship, right? So it's in February 7th, which I think that's like Super Bowl weekend, and it's also like during the time of the real Mardi Gras as well,
Yes,
right? I think,
yes,
right? So
yes.
yeah, it's a martial arts tournament. And actually, I'm also not just covering it. I'm going to be competing in it. They have forms, they have weapons fighting, and they're
Okay,
starting to put breaking in there. So with me, I'm going to coordinate it, and I'm also going to compete in it. So that's what I'm trying to do now with breaking, is try to inject it more into the sport martial arts events, because not all tournaments have breaking,
okay.
So, and a lot has to do with the promoters are just like, they just don't know what to do,
Really?
the logistics of it. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of like going in there to different states now. I was just in Georgia, and now I'm going to Louisiana to kind of show them kind of how to run it. You know what I'm saying? As
Right.
well. That's one of the goals as well, so they can keep doing it in tournaments over there. But yeah, it's gonna be a great event. You just got to look it up. They're on Facebook, Louisiana
Yeah, I
Pro
think I
Am.
have it here.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's the
Yeah,
flyer right there. Yeah,
yeah.
and it's
So,
and it's a great tournament. I've been there before, and it's WKC rated, which and ICO rated as well. Which that means, for people that don't understand, it's a qualifier. So if you go there and you win, you get selected to be on a USA team that's gonna travel. So next year, one of them's gonna be in Spain, and I think the other one's gonna be in France. So
wow.
if you go there and compete, you make it on the USA and win. You got to win. You
Yeah.
win, you make it on the USA team, and then it could start a journey to a world title as
That's
well.
awesome.
So it's a great tournament. So yeah, and it's on. More information on there. Just go to my page, Point Fighter Live, and scroll through, and you'll find it,
Yeah. I'm going
and
to
you
be
could get
sharing
in
it
there.
as well.
Yeah,
I've shared
yeah,
it
yeah,
already, but I'm going to be sharing, and the closer we get to the show,
yeah.
I'm going to do some more. I'm actually going to go.
Oh
I'm
yeah, and you're gonna be there. Yeah,
super pumped to go.
yeah,
Um,
man.
behind the scenes, I might try and get with Alex later and see if I can do an exhibition or maybe get in the ring or something.
Man, yeah, maybe you could hold a board for me or something when I
Yeah,
break two in
we'll
the
figure
show,
something
something like
out.
that.
Yeah,
That'll
we'll
be
figure
something.
something
That'll be
out, man.
cool. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
for sure. That's gonna be cool for sure, man.
absolutely. But I'm definitely going to be there for that event. So those of you who are interested, you can contact me as well, Facebook, anything like that. And I mean, I'm super pumped. I mean, that's my origins as well. It's been years since Louisiana has had any, probably decades, to be
Yeah,
honest with you, since
yeah,
we've had anything like this. So,
yeah,
thanks for doing that over here. I'm
for
definitely
sure.
gonna get some excitement about this, and we're gonna have a good time that weekend. So.
Yeah, man, for sure. It's gonna be a great event, man.
Yeah. Well, Alex, listen, man, thank you so much for joining us today. You guys that have watched this, if you want, you can follow us on Facebook under my Facebook page or Connecting Through Christ. Those of you who follow me, be sure to check Alex Reyes out. I'll be posting some stuff with him in the near future as well. And thank you guys all for tuning in. Make sure you keep watching. We've got some special guests coming up too in the next couple of weeks. I don't want to mention just yet, but you guys will definitely enjoy. So thank you for joining us as we continue connecting through Christ. Thank you, my man.
Yes,
Let me
power, baby.
let me
Yes,
stop this
yes.
real quick.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome, man.
Man, I always struggle to turn this thing off, bro.
Thanks for listening to Connecting Through Christ. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Stay blessed and keep growing in Christ. See you next time.